when it comes to being actually powerful, you can forget about the outer world things like money and status and control. True power is about spiritual alignment. And one of the things that's in the way of that is our relationship to our mind. This is what we're talking about in this video. Hey everybody, Leslie Huddart here. I'm a healer and spiritual guide, and I help empaths, healers, and highly sensitive people and seekers really release the trauma that's been trapped in their body so that you can really make lifetimes worth of progress in a very short amount of time. What we're talking about in this video is essentially a spiritual stepping stone. Any spiritual path worth its salt helps you deal with the nature of your mind. Many people, most of us, start at some point where we make the confusion that the thoughts that we think in our mind are us, and that couldn't be true. There'll be more videos on those topics. The part that I want to talk about today in this video is that sometimes when we start on this process of understanding what's me and what's my mind, our mind can start to get triggered. We can start to feel offended when you start to hear different teachings like, wow, your mind is actually gaslighting you. Your mind is actually part of the problem. We can feel, because we've been doing it a certain way, start to feel a little offended. Things might come up in your mind like, but my mind helps me, but my mind has been my only reliable friend, but my mind is the thing that keeps me safe, that keeps me out of danger. And unfortunately, all of these statements are categorically incorrect. That's what I want to take you through. So, for a moment, if your mind is arguing with this video already, just take a deep breath. This is a safe place to be. You can choose what to take in and what to not take in. So the first thing that we have to realize is that part of the true spiritual path does involve dismantling and I would say dethroning parts of your mind. And as we do that, we bump up against old established ways that our mind and what we call in subtle bodywork our protector system, this part of ourselves that is designed to keep us safe. But what safety ultimately was needed at one point in the past, and what it evolves to is a place that keeps us limited, keeps us out of new territory that we need to go to really be aligned with our soul and our purpose, and it keeps us stuck. It is a part of us that is operating from something that happened in the past that is untrue. So all of these statements that the mind will tell us are incorrect and can be dismantled. I want you to first think about this idea of defensiveness. When we think about true power, someone who is truly powerful, truly aligned with wisdom, generally a few things are true. One, they can allow dissent. They can allow people or others to really hold viewpoints that are different than them. So if you in yourself notice that you just can't let it drop when someone's wrong, what's true? All you gotta do is turn on the news to see a lot of shit that isn't true. A lot of people in places of power saying things and promoting agendas that are categorically wrong, even when they say that they're not, even when they say that they're doing the right things, saving the people, helping people. You can feel inherently or know intellectually that what they're really doing is their own self-interest, greed, and maybe if we're giving them the benefit of the doubt, ignorance and they don't know any better, but probably one of the former. So what's true about any form of wisdom is that it's generally peaceful in the face of challenge, because ultimate spiritual alignment is ultimate knowing with a capital K. I want you to imagine a story for a moment. Imagine that you are in a village far, far away, and in this village, there was a known, wise, very enlightened elder. And this elder was known to sit under a tree in the mountains. And one day, from the village, a bright, upstart young teenager full of testosterone, knowing all of the truths that he thought he knew about the universe, goes to this old, wise person under a tree to pick a fight, essentially. And so you just imagine this wise elder, let's make her a woman in this moment, sitting there under the tree, maybe meditating, maybe engaging in just communing with nature or oneness as it was. And this young teenager comes up the path. And imagine that this teenager starts yelling from a couple feet away, "Yo, you old lady, you think you know things, you're just lazy sitting here under a tree, all that shit that you do, you really need to just get a job, blah, blah, blah." I want you to imagine in your mind right now, what do you think that wise old sage of a woman says? What do you think she does? It's probably something, in my mind when it arises, something like a smile or a laugh. Or if it's more stern, it's sort of maybe outwardly stern, but with love and skillfulness on the inside. Now, let's imagine a different scenario. Same village. This time, the person in question is not a wise old sage, but is maybe like the brother of the mayor. He's the younger brother of the mayor. It's always been a little bit of an insecurity point that his brother's the mayor and he's not, and he was never as good in school. And so he is a little bit of an insecure person. He's a little bit of what we could call a petty tyrant or a paper tiger, where he seems to be very big, but on the inside, he's actually very insecure. Spoiler alert, this is what's happening with most people who appear outwardly verbose and aggressive on the outside. Normally, they're covering over wounding on the inside. So the mayor's brother, who's always dealing with his inner insecurities, feeling like his mother likes the brother better, he's at his shop one day, which is his gig, and this teenager walks in and starts yelling at him, "You're just a fool, you're just a petty, you're just the brother of the mayor, you don't have any worth, you don't know what the hell you're talking about." What do you think that shopkeeper, brother of the mayor, does? Do you think he laughs and doesn't take it personally? Probably not. In my mind, when I see that story, he gets upset, he starts yelling, he picks up a stick and starts waving it at the boy. "How dare you say those things? Don't you know who my brother is? You get out of here. I'm more educated than you'll ever be. I'm the smartest person there ever was. There's nobody smarter than me. You get out of here right now." What we notice about these two stories, same teenager, same challenge, and it is reacted to in different ways. There's a universal truth in here that true wisdom is spiritual alignment. And when we know and are aligned with what and who we are, and the truth of that which does not change, or even in the outer world, when we know something to be true, and I have also inner alignment, we can allow other people to have their suffering and mind stories about it, even when those mind stories are about us. So when we bring this back and we start to notice that as we're doing inner work and we're starting to turn towards the mind and question this mind tyrant that we thought was our only form of safety, you'll notice that the mind will start doing paper tiger moves. You will hear your mind say, "This isn't safe. This isn't who we are. This is dangerous to go down this road. I could go crazy. I don't know what would happen if we did this." We gotta back away from this ledge pretty quickly. What we need to do, so let's talk about some tools. The first thing that you can do is start to examine and test. We went back to a couple of those phrases, but my mind helps me. My mind has been my best friend. No, with every argument that the mind and sometimes even ignorance and certainly New Aginess has, there's sometimes a little bit of truth. The mind is a helpful part of ourselves, but if you imagine the mind as part of a company, the mind is meant to be a small managerial level worker that works down the hall in research and development. Smart guy, works down there great, wears a lab coat, knows a lot of figures. And when you need the numbers, when you need some odds, when you need some statistics, when you need a little bit of historical data, the leader of the company, which is more like the heart and the soul, calls up on the phone all the way down to the back hallway of research and development, says, "Hey, mind, can you just give me a few numbers on that? No, I don't need you to come up here. Nope, I don't need you to hit him. Nope, don't hit any alarms. I didn't say it was emergency. I just need a few numbers. Yep, nope, don't even have to come, just email them to me. Thanks, bye." Okay, good. Still good to have the mind on the team, but what we know about the mind is prone to disastrous thinking, worst case scenario, death and destruction, taking it personally, overreacting. Now, we all have a place in the company, but that should not be running the show. So we can notice that yes, our mind has, in some cases, run some data about statistics. It said, we learned about dark alleys and you're alone, you shouldn't walk down that dark alley. That's a win for the mind. Yep, that person is doing irrational behavior, probably best to give them a little bit of space. That's our mind keeping us safe. But you'll notice that even though that's a small percentage of the time, in other situations of our life where we have to take calculated risks, where we have to be vulnerable, where we have to go out on a limb, where we have to trust an inner knowingness and take that out into the world. What does your mind traditionally say at those points? You might notice that at those times also, your mind will say, oh no, I don't know, worst case scenario, we can't risk it. Who are you to think those things? This could go really badly. You could end up under a bridge somewhere. We better not risk it. What's your family gonna say? What if we become this? Then we're gonna end up all alone. That's what your mind will say because that is the nature of the mind. So you can check these questions. Yeah, there are some cases, inherent danger, running the numbers, research and development where my mind has been helpful. But in all of the other areas that are very important of being a human, risking being seen, vulnerability, working your edge of your comfort zone, your mind has never helped you in those departments. And in fact, it has hindered you and kept you constrained and stuck and wasted years of your life and caused a lot of pain. So just check that out and test it. Here's another thing. My mind has been the only reliable person that I've ever had in life. It's always been with me. It's the thing that I rely on. Okay, let's just check that out. Usually this is coming from early wounds around attachment, a crappy situation that you beamed into in this life. And that's very righteous to understand that when we've grown up in places where we didn't have people to rely on, our mind and our protector system adapt and they become the kings of the castle. But what's true is that your mind is not reliable. Your mind and the thoughts that arise within your mind are constantly changing. Just check. You don't know what you're going to be thinking in one moment from now. And if I say, don't think about a purple elephant, do not picture a purple elephant. Mind, do not see that purple elephant in vivid purple color. You might also notice that your mind is very susceptible. There's no way that you just heard me say that and your mind didn't drag you along to think about a purple elephant. Your mind is not reliable and it's not who and what you really are. Just check that one out and you'll notice. Last one, my mind keeps me safe. Now, go back to number one where in certain research and development, running the data about knowing how the outer world works, yeah, your mind has given you some statistics. Best not to wander into a war zone. Best not to walk alone at night. Best not to make an investment of $1 gazillion without doing a background check on someone. In that way, your mind helps you navigate possibilities and difficulties. Your mind helps you navigate probability, is a way to say it. Probability is different than safety. When you check and examine this, you might notice that there are times in life where you did all the things. You took $1 gazillion years to look up all of the possibilities of things. You scoured the internet. You did lots of data research. Never mind the fact that if that is something that you and your mind and your protector system tend to do, you also don't get a lot of shit done and you're a little bit neurotic and in your head. That's okay. That's your mind and your protector system, but let's just admit that doesn't really work so well. You can reflect. How is this needing to have all the data before making any potential first small move? How is that working for you? Probably not so well. Now, we're not saying we throw data out the window. We're not saying we don't pay attention to it. But even when someone who has a tendency in a protector system to take years of compiling all the data before making a move, one, they generally never do make a move, but even when they did, there is no guarantee of the outcome. We cannot predict what will happen. What is true about life and about being an incarnated human is that we are not in control of what arises. That's a little scary to our mind. It's terrifying, but it's a truth that you can check. You can think of every time when things maybe went well because they were planned or planned and didn't go well. You can think about times where you didn't plan things and they turned out okay, and times when you didn't plan them and a little planning would have been good. So there is no direct correlation between mind thinking it can control and the actual outcome of a situation. And in life, when we look at the outer world of people who win in outer world video game lives, they usually have a combination of smart mind thinking, but also great heart and connectiveness and intuition in the non-logistical, logical aspects of life. It's a combination of the two. True power is integration. Integration between the mind and the heart, with the heart being at least 51% of the leader, and integration with our own understanding of what we call in the practical spirituality training our working spiritual hypothesis about who and what we really are. So, the mind, in summary, is actually not a trustable friend. And although it is helpful, and we want them down in research development so that we can call every once in a while to get some numbers and probability, what the mind is actually doing, if you experience your mind getting offended or telling you that it's your only friend and you can't afford to pay attention to the heart, what you notice is you're hitting up against the edge of a growth zone where your soul and the inner part of yourself that is more than your mind, that is beyond your mind, is pushing you towards a new level of personal power and alignment. So as you go along that path, notice that the mind will do a lot of gaslighting, a lot of paper tiger moves, and it's good to call that what it is because it will help you walk through this very important, what is ultimately a spiritual stepping stone in this way. If you need help and support in really healing your subtle body blocks and wounds of having your mind be a friend but not a dictator in your life, that is what we do. You can check it out. I'll put some links below if you're called to subtle body work and a deeper, more spiritually integrated path. This is Leslie Huddart. You are a soul with a body and you deserve great things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your work on yourself is the rhythm and the wave that goes out that really makes a difference. See you next time.